Hi people, this is Chris. Today I'm back with a new video on the Gretsch Catalina Special Edition Maple Bubinga kits. Enjoy! Both sets are only available at Thomann as a 5-piece shell set with the snare drum included. Also, the snares can be purchased separately. In case you haven't watched my review of the Catalina Maple set from last year, these kits here are technically almost identical. The only difference is the shell construction. These kits have a hybrid shell with outer and inner plies of Bubinga wood and a maple core instead of the full maple shell. Also, there's only one finish in satin lacquered natural, and not to forget, the price is a lot higher. So let's find out all the details. The kits come in a studio configuration with a 20 by 16 bass drum, 10 by 7 and 12 by 8 toms, as well as a 14 by 14 floor tom, along with a 14 by 5.5 snare. The bigger standard kit has a 22 by 16 bass drum, the same sizes for the toms, but a 16 by 16 floor tom. Also, the snare measures 14 by 6.5. And as you can see in the close-up of the shell, the bearing edge is cut at the typical Gretsch 30-degree angle, and the center plies are made of Chinese maple, while the outer and inner plies are African Bubinga. So when you're taking a closer look at the shells, you can see that the snare drum is thicker than the rest. It measures around 8 mm, maybe a bit more. And you can also see that the maple core is much thicker. So the Bubinga is more or less a veneer on the outer and inner parts. And the toms and bass drum are thinner. They are measuring around 5.5 millimeters. Let's take a look at the hardware. Both kits have a double tom mount with memory locks, so you don't need additional stands or mounts, which I find very practical, especially in a live situation. And the toms also have the new GTS mounting system, which was carried over from the Reso series. And the hoops are 2.5 mm triple flanged models. Snare, bass drum and floor tom have 8 lugs per side, while the small toms have 5 lugs in typical Gretsch style. And there's a tuning key and some spare parts included, but no dampening pillow for the bass drum. The heads are the usual coated Remo UT models, single ply versions on the toms and snare, while the bass drums have pre-damped clear beta and coated Reso heads. Both kits are delivered in 2 boxes each, so when setting them up for the first time you still need to mount the heads on the floor tom and the bass drum. As all the screws, washers and claws are packed separately, this is a bit time consuming. In case you're wondering, the full range badge inside the shell was associated for a long time with Taiwanese made Gretsch drums. However, the new owners of Gretsch Geva are using the label also for drums that are made in the Chinese factory. I recorded both kits in a higher tuning with the unported bass drum, and for the lower tuning I switched to a ported single ply Reso head and placed a pillow inside the bass drum. Last but not least, there's a take with a standard kit where I was using fresh Remo USA heads, clear emperors and a CS dot on the snare. So let's hear the drums before I give you my final verdict. Tuning both kits was pretty easy, even with the stock heads, and I really liked the studio kit with a 20-inch bass drum in the higher jazzy tuning. And this is the range where these rather soft sounding shells shine best. The lower tuning was also fine, especially the 20-inch bass drum was massive here. But compared to a higher end shell like the Pearl Reference 1 I had prior to these kits, the toms were missing projection and cut in the room, especially with the stock heads. The bigger standard set was pretty similar, but with the larger floor tom more promising in the lower tuning, especially when I switched to the branded heads, which made the toms really pop. The snare drums are both okay with a crisp snare wire response, but not something I would need to add to my arsenal, especially if you already own some decent snare drums. But I like the 5.5 model a little more. Also, the wires of both snares were creating a lot of sympathetic snare bass when I was hitting the 10-inch tom, and you can hear this in the sound files if you listen closely. Let's also take a look at some competitors, because there are plenty in this price range for the money these special edition kits cost. Right now €17.89 and €16.89. You can also get a Reno set made in Taiwan if you want to stick with Gretsch. Also, the 7-piece Catalina Maple is a lot cheaper. Then there's the very focused sounding Thomann Star Classic Performer with top-notch hardware, which is even with an added matching snare in the same price range. And not to forget the powerful sounding Mapex Saturn 6 stage sets and my favorite Maple kit under €2,000, the Yamaha 2 Custom Standard. So the original Catalina Maple is €998. So for my taste, these kits are a bit too pricey for what they offer. So what's your opinion? Let me know down below. As always, thanks for watching. And if you're interested in one of the kits, you can check out the purchase links down below. I hope to see you in the next video. Until then, bye.